Okay, I get to take a break again. That's a good thing about this concert with these guest conductors and student conductors. We're going to do our march that we did at State, Invincible Eagle by Sousa, and it'll be conducted by one of our drum majors, Erica Ripson. Okay, another breather. All right. Next, we're going to do another Danzas Cubanas-Sheldon march, the Washington Post, by one of our other drum majors, Raina Hart. Okay, before we do our last piece, I want to thank all the parents for being here and supporting our program, allowing your kids to be in band. There's so many other things they could be doing and not and getting themselves in trouble, and we try to keep them busy by doing these rehearsals and this team building with what we do in all of our ensembles. So, parents, thank you guys. Let's thank your parents for teaching and having you. A couple other things. I want to thank Miss Stacy in the back. She's filming our concert for us, and our booster president. She does amazing things for these kids and for me, and leading all of our boosters and parents and volunteer things that we have to do. Just give you a quick update. A couple things coming up. Right in here at 6 p.m. on May 12th, which is a Monday. Next week they have nothing after school. I'm excited. Except, I lied. There's two things. We have our drum major clinic Wednesday, and then we start our drumline clinic and tryouts on Thursday. So it's just getting ready for marching band. And so, but we on the 12th we will be having our awards ceremony. We're not doing a banquet this year because this will allow everyone to come. We don't have to limit it anymore to just bringing one parent or two parents from seniors. Anybody will come. It will be right in here, and we will be recognizing every student, all the accolades that they've earned through the year through our MPA stuff, and some recognitions and some funding awards, maybe some from me, so little revenge stuff. So it should be fun. And then we will do all that at 6, and then however long that takes, it depends on how fast the kids can line up in alphabetical order. A lot of it has to do with that. Then we're going to go right out to the courtyard, and we're going to have a party. And the only thing that you have to bring for your admission is something to eat. Bring something to share. We're just going to do a little potluck. We're going to have some other food out there. We're going to have a DJ. The kids are going to have a good time. And parents, please feel free to watch them dance and be silly and stuff like that. So, and we're going to let them have a great time. We'll do that for a little bit outside in the courtyard after we're all finished. The next thing after that will be, the big thing will be May 20th. It's our registration night. So for all of our upperclassmen, everyone returning next year, that will be we will do that at 6 o'clock on May 20th. And package should be coming out soon, so you can fill that out. And then we will have a 7 o'clock meeting for our new members, so we can welcome all of our new pirates coming in. We also have leadership coming up the week of our banquet, our award ceremony, so we're getting ready for next year. I am pleased to tell you, next year our theme will be Les Miserables for marching band. I'm very excited about that. I like musicals, so we're going to do another one. We did West Side Story, we've done Phantom, now we're going to do Les Mis. So again, thank you for coming. We do need, and this is great for future leaders, you need help cleaning up and getting everything back in the band room and making sure everything looks right and it's put in the right place and all that stuff. So just bear with us so we can get stuff cleaned up. We're going to end our concert with Danzas Cubanas.